Okay, so this video is for the warm-up on Tuesday, December the 18th. Trying to illustrate this idea of a helper column. So I'm actually just going to use these cells over here to help me. So what I'm suggesting is, I know I'm going to end up with an if statement here. But here, if I do a formula that calculates the length, and again, if you don't remember how to use this function, then you have to know the name of it. Insert function. Even if you get here and you start typing in length and you hit go, hey, there you go. So it wants to know what text you want to calculate the length of, and it's that cell. Okay, so it looks like I have a problem with my formula here. I'll just get this back, and there we go. So I now know that this cell will contain the length of that string. So in here, in my if statement, my logical test is to check to see if that cell is greater than or equal to 5. And currently true. If the value is true, put in pass. If the condition is false, put in fail. I'm going to stop the video now. Okay, so we're back, and I tried to demonstrate this idea of using a helper cell. But you should realize that you don't have to use a helper cell. Instead of making a reference to G10, which currently has a value of 9, you could embed in there a call to length, or len, and get it to calculate the length of F8. Okay, that will get you the same result, and there's no longer a need for this helper column, right? But you can see that what you have is you have a call to the length function embedded into the if statement. So what I want to show you is, if you go to formulas, if you go here and you go to formulas, where is it? Oh, okay. This looks a little different. Just a fair warning, because I'm working on a smaller screen, some of the descriptions of the buttons go away, and now they become icons, right? So this evaluate formula button is something that I was looking for the keywords evaluate formula, which was something that I noticed on my bigger monitor. So just be aware, it's not that it's gone, it's just they have to condense the toolbar, right? So some things are going to lose their wordy description. So I just want to show you this. Here's evaluate formula. And I'm actually going to evaluate. So what happens? Let's go back and let me show you this again. Here's what I'm trying to evaluate. And I want you to notice that there is an underline on the part that it's trying to work on. So I'm going to evaluate the part that's underlined. So right now, F8 is underlined. So when I evaluate, it puts in the password, right? So now I have, it's made a substitution for F8, and you know now, hey, at least it's working with the correct password. Now you'll notice that the length of this password is all underlined. So now I'm going to hit evaluate. So when you evaluate the length of this, you should get an answer of 9. Okay, it's evaluating the length correctly. Now look at the underline. The underline is now going to evaluate the condition 9 greater than or equal to 5. What should it evaluate to? True, right? Because 9 is greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so it evaluated to true. And now, given that the condition is true, when it evaluates the whole if statement, what is it going to put into the cell? Pass or fail? It's going to put in pass. And that's what gets put into the cell. So if we restart, underlined is F8, so it evaluates F8, and it substitutes in the string or the password. Now underneath or underlined is the length of that string when we evaluate it is 9. Now it does an evaluation is 9 greater than or equal to 5. Yes, it's true. And finally, now it completes or evaluates the entire if statement. Okay? And we know that since this is true, it should substitute in pass. And there you go. So let me stop for a moment. Okay, so we're back, and we just had a discussion that unfortunately did not get captured on the video, but if you want to investigate it, it had to do with using this evaluate formula command here, which helps you to, as it says, debug a complex formula. Okay, so we want to calculate the first character and see if it's equal to lowercase j. So I'm going to make use of a helper column again. So I'm going to do equals, and someone in the crowd mentioned that we want to use the left function. So I want the left of that cell, and I want the first character. Now it's a j, and this is a j, so this should say pass. So I'm going to go equals if, and literally I'm going to say, is that cell equal to that cell? If it is, put in pass. If it's not, put in fail. Done. All right, so Monique made this suggestion rather than having to retype, most of the if statement with, we had to put in if and the pass and fail. Why don't we just copy this down and then just change the condition? Because really that's the only thing that's changing. And that was a very good suggestion. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so to find the second character, we need to think about what function allows us to get the second character of a string. I'm going to pause and talk to the crowd. All right, you'll be happy to know that the crowd would once again correct. They suggested the word mid. So I'm going to use a helper column. I want to find the mid, use mid of that string. And if you don't remember how mid works, this is a good time to click on insert function. I want to know what character I want to start at. Well, I want the starting character to be character number 2. And how many characters do I want to read? 1. So it's giving me back the capital letter Y, which is what I want. So literally what I want now is I want to check to see if that character is equal to that character. And I think because I copied it down, believe it or not, because I was comparing this to this, when I copied it down, it's now comparing that to that. So there is another benefit. Monique is looking like a rock star right now. This is so nice. Okay, so we're good to go. So I'm going to put that on pause. Okay, so Hoda's given us all the answers here today. I asked the group about how to find the last character in a string, and she just suggested that it is using the write string function. So I'm going to use this helper column again, write, and I want that string. And I want 1 character coming from the right, and it correctly gives me the K. So believe it or not, because we have the Monique effect working on our behalf, it's going to compare D13, which is this blue cell, with red 13, or with the red cell, which is G13. And because they are different, it's going to put fail. Okay, I'm going to stop for a moment and discuss with the group. Okay, so we're back and we're looking for the second last character of our potential password. So in this case, our second last character is the star. Now, write will not get you that character directly. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call write, and I'm going to do the insert function, and I'm going to pick that cell, and I want the last 2 characters. So it's going to give me star 8, but I really don't want star 8. I want just the star. So over here, I'm going to do another helper column, and I want the left first character of that cell. And now I'm going to compare this with that. So when I double click, I no longer want to compare the blue cell with the red cell, but rather I want to compare the blue cell, which is this cell, which currently has a star, to that. And because those are equal, it's going to say pass. So I did what I would call a 2 helper columns. First, I got the star K using the right routine, and then I got the star from this by just doing left 1. And now I've got the character that I want. Okay? So that's how to use right followed by left to get the second last character of a string. Okay, we're back and we've solved all the sock problems of the universe. So we're going to use a helper column to find the third character. And the suggestion was probably to use the mid function. So I want to find the third character of that. And I get an M. So we're good. And now I want to find the last character. So I'm going to do another helper column, and I'm going to go equals, and someone in the crowd just suggested that we use the right function. So I'm going to do the right of that character, comma 1. Okay, now it's going to say fail because these two are not the same, right? But if I change this to put a capital M, it still says fail. So let me update this just to make sure this is working because it is not referencing maybe the correct cells. So I want it to refer to G15 and apparently H15. Okay, so that should say if H15 equals G15, put in pass. And why does it put pass in there? These are different. They are different. Let me think about this. Okay, so we're just going to finish up the video here. A little confusion with respect to the third character being equal to the last character, which third character is little m, last character is a uppercase M, and it's a little surprising to myself as the teacher that this says that it is a pass. I would have thought that little m is not equal to big M from a comparison point of view. So I'm going to leave it at that. I will get back to the group tomorrow. But for this, at this point in time, you can see how we got the third character using the left function, or sorry, the mid function. You saw how we got to the last character using the right function. So we'll leave it at that and post the video, and hopefully I'll have an answer. One last thing, I guess, is this: how do you count the number of checks? Well, I did a count if, and I basically just said how many times does the word pass show up in E10 to E15. And in this case, it shows up 6 times. That's why this answer says 6. Okay, so I just did a count if function, counting on this range for the word, the characters PASS. Okay, so I'm going to shut down the video now and post it online.